All right, each candidate will have 3 minutes to give his qualifications and to briefly discuss his top 2 priorities, if elected, and how he would address them. Mr. Barbier, would you please state your qualifications and your top 2 priorities if elected and how you would address them?
Good evening. I'm Dwight Barbier, candidate for St. Mary Parish School Board, District 10. I'm a lifelong resident of Morgan City. My parents are Connie and the late Mo Barbier, who also served on the St. Mary Parish School Board. I'm married to Holly Cortez Barbier, who is an employee of the St. Mary Parish School Board. We have 2 children, Reagan, who graduated from Morgan City High School in 2016, and Beth, who is currently a student at Morgan City Junior High. I'm a graduate of Morgan City High School in 1988, and from there I attended Nicholls State University, where I majored in business administration. I'm an active member of Sacred Heart Catholic Church, and some of my community involvements have been, I've been a coach for both softball and baseball for the youth recreations in our community. I've also been a member of the Board of Adjustments for the City of Morgan City for 5 years, and I've been the voice of the Morgan City High School Tigers on Friday nights at their football game for the past 4 years. I'm employed with a local office machine company, and I frequently visit a lot of the schools on a daily basis, so I see things that go on. As an involved parent, the last 20 years, and having several family members and friends in the classroom, I understand firsthand the struggles of both teachers and of students. I have walked my district, and I hear the concerns, and I want to be your voice. I'm ready to be your voice. When elected, I will be the only person on the St. Mary Parish School Board who has a child in the St. Mary Parish school system. I have a vested interest. I want to give back to my community. As a former business owner and a current parent, I have the experience and the drive to help our students and teachers succeed. I plan to work hard, be open-minded, and available at any time. I look forward to serving you as your school board member. On November 6th, I appreciate your vote, and working together, we can make a difference. The 2 priorities I feel are teachers' pay raises and improving on technology. We would have to look at the budget and see where we can get the money, because ultimately our teachers are the lifeline of our education. And in improving technology, we can look into the grants and see what's available out there for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barbier.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is C.E. Berg. I'm an attorney in Morgan City. I graduated from Tulane Law School in 1972 and have practiced law in Morgan City since that date. Prior to that, I graduated from Morgan City High in, I hate to admit this, 1964, and attended LSU from 64 through 68 and Tulane Law School from 68 through 72. And during that time, I also got a diploma from the United States Army Infantry School at Fort Benning. I have 4 children, and they all graduated from Morgan City High. My wife is Donna Terrebonne Berg, and she works at Morgan City Bank, has been employed there for 35 years, if you include her time with Guaranty Bank, which was purchased by Morgan City Bank some years ago. The things I bring to would bring to the school board is my experience as an attorney. Also, my ability to look into things. Like I looked into, one of the problems is on my card is best way to use declining revenues. Now, According to my information, in 2014, the St. Mary Parish sales tax was $41 million. However, in 2017, it had been reduced to $31 million. That is the gross sales tax, but the school board share comes out of those gross numbers. So it has been reduced 25%, just like the big amount that has been generated. The other thing is better cooperation between the board, the administration, and teachers. I talked to some teachers, and they say they don't have enough standing, or the board and the administration don't ask teachers what they want. The prime example of that is they didn't ask teachers anything about, or their opinion on the reduction of the school system from the 4 credits per semester to the 7 classes per year, and how that would affect the students and themselves. The teachers weren't involved, in the school board, and the people in the administration don't seem to have enough time to gather the information of the parents, the teachers, and the students through some sort of committee or other function.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. We'll begin our first round of questions that have been provided by the public. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. Again, when I ask the question, I'll ask it twice so that you understand. And our first question for Mr. Barbier. Who should set the rules governing board procedures, methods, and behaviors? Who should enforce them? Who should set the rules governing board procedures, methods, and behaviors, and who should enforce them?
The rules of the board are actually set by the state, and we are there to govern and make sure that they are carried out. With Act 1, with Bobby and General enacted, he took a lot of power away from the school board and put it in the hands of the superintendent. So with that case right there, you are limited on what you can actually, come up with and, put forth in front of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barbier. Mr. Byrd, your question? What do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities, and what is the primary role of the board? What do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities, and what is the primary role of the board?
I think the primary role of the board is to act as similar to a board of directors at a bank or in any other corporation. You have to supervise or direct the superintendent, and the superintendent and set forth the policies that you want him to follow through his administration, which are the principals and the teachers. The board directs the superintendent, who directs the administrators, and the principals direct the teachers. And that's basically what I think the board ought to do. And they ought to use their independent thinking and not be governed solely by the recommendations of the people at the central office in Centerville. I think everybody ought to use their own good sense, common sense. I had a superintendent tell me that common sense was the one thing lacking in some of his employees and people that worked for him. His name was Steve Gochek. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. We'll move into our second round of questions. And our question for Mr. Barbier. What are the current challenges facing education and school boards? What are the current challenges facing education and school boards?
I think the number one challenge right now would be funding. As we all know, in the downturn of the economy, the first thing that is hit is education. And I feel that that is one of the most challenging things that as a school board member, you have to pull your resources together to get the best bang out of your buck for the money we have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Barbier. And Mr. Byrd, your second and final question. How can the board be accessible to your community? How can the board be accessible to your community?
Well, I've got an idea on that. I think they ought to move the school board meeting back a little bit so the people who work for a living don't have to be there so early in the afternoon. At least they should be on the same hours as, you know, the various councils, city councils in the St. Mary Parish area. Having a meeting as early as they do eliminates a lot of people's attendance at the meeting. It's also because they start at 4:30. Just because the school teachers get out at 3 and the administrators get out at 3, the rest of the world doesn't get off at 3. The other thing I'd like to say is that the school, board and the administrators should listen more to the people who have a stake in the operation of the St. Mary Parish school system of itself. That being the teachers, the parents, and the students. Stakeholders should be asked, and the stakeholders are the students, the parents, and the teachers in the operation of the school system. I talked to some retired teachers and current teachers. They need better communication between the teachers and the administration. And the board can make sure that happens. The board can demand that the superintendent better supervise or instruct his administrators, i.e. his principals and assistant principals. Principals make a school and the teachers make the principals. So there needs to be something different, and the superintendent actually is the leader of the whole educational process, and the board's got a very important job in figuring out who's the best superintendent. And ours is retiring this year, I think, Mr. O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. Moving to our final segment with each candidate, you will have 3 minutes to summarize why you are running for candidacy. Mr. Barbier.
In closing, I'd like to thank everyone here. I'd like to thank everyone that I've spoke with and met on the campaign trail. Those I've not yet seen, I'm coming. It's been a great experience. I've heard your concerns and I want to be your voice. As a parent of 2 totally different children, I have brought, from both sides of the spectrum. I have one that has been an A honor roll student, and I have one that is a special needs child. I see the things that go on in our community, in our school system, and I want to make them better for every child involved in the education process. On November 6th, I humbly ask for your vote, Dwight Barbier, number 60, St. Mary Parish School Board, and together we can make a difference. Thank you, good night, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Barbier. And Mr. Byrd, please give us your summary.
Ladies and gentlemen, my number is 61. I respectfully solicit your vote on November 6th. What I bring to this board would be my experience as an attorney and the fact that my 4 kids and I both went through the school system here. And I don't have any children in the system now. All I have is 3 grandchildren in the system. I am deeply concerned, since they are 5, 7, and 9, what's going to happen to the St. Mary Parish school system. I've spoken to teachers and former administrators and people in the parish government who understand the economy. And there was another member of District 9, she stated that there are approximately 2,000 less students. What that means is there's $8 million less money from the minimum foundation funding. That's the start. The other is the reduced sales tax. It's not going to go back to $41 million next year, although it has slowed down the decreases. Yes, funding is a problem, and we have to make sure, the board has to ensure that the superintendent instructs and gets the most bang for the dollar, including, when I was a kid, the trade school, which was vocational education, which was very popular in the 60s when I was in school. It's coming back because everybody is not college material, and people can make a hell of a lot of money, as some of my clients have, as welders with welding companies and fast food companies and other things. You don't have to have a college degree to be a successful person in business and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Thank both of you for participating in our chamber forum.